Hi everyone, my name is Maria Dukova, and today we're going to talk about the democracy in multi-ethnic societies such as Nigeria, Lebanon, Bosnia and Herzegovina, and Switzerland. It is often asserted that we live in a globalizing world, and though our planet increasingly represents a global village. Witness the increasing prominence of the World Trade Organization in national economies or the rise of such regional blocs as the European Union. The Association of Southeast Asian Nations or the Economic Community of West African States. In essence, globalization is characterized by convergence at the socio-cultural, political, and economic levels. However, one of the most puissant contradictions of the current epoch is that such concurrent coexistence with diverged based on identity and different religious fundamentalism, virulent nationalism, and ethnicity all form part of this divergence. It was a divergence that caused the painful distinguished of former Yugoslavia. It was this divergence that pitted Indonesian against Timorese nationalism, and it was this divergence that, at the time of writing, resulted of the Philippines Muslims kidnapping foreign tourists to be used as hostages and bargaining chips to pursue their government for a separate Muslim homeland. Africa too has not been immune from the politics of identity and exclusions. Angola has seen Avembundu versus Mbundu, Hutus and Tutsis in Rwanda, and Burundi continues macabre dance of deaths. Senegal and the Comores have been plagued by strong separatism movements in Casamance and Anjouan. Mozambique has witnesses Shangam pitted against Ndao. Islamic militarists have been active from Khartoum to Kaduna, and Christian fundamentalism in the form of Lord's Resistance Army continues to ravage northern Uganda. Further complaining the Africa situation are the inherited colonial borders which have resulted in few post-independence African states being homogeneous in character, exacerbating such differences and deteriorating economies that have resulted in greater alienation and have not pitted one group against other. As seen in recent fighting between EO and Tsekeri, youth in Delta State of Nigeria. For most African states, then the challenges is how to manage the differences and at the same time build an overarching construct of citizenship. This is where Wolf Linder's book is so useful. Linder provides a critical dissection of Swiss democracy in theory of practice and illustrates its relevance to other multicultural common societies struggling to manage such differences. Switzerland is a country characterized by cultural, linguistic, religious, and regional diversity. As a country, it has existed for more than 700 years. According to the author, it is because the Swiss have over the years developed unique institutions aimed at minimizing any conflict emerging from such differences. Consider the following. First, Switzerland to counter the idea of creating one culture, one language nation state. Second, the Swiss were able to develop a type of democracy that favors and enforces political power sharing between Protestants and Catholics, between the German-speaking majority and French, Italian and Roman-speaking minorities, and between organized employers and trade unions. This has led to social integration, peaceful conflict resolution by negotiation, and national consensus amongst once fragmented and heterogeneous population. So Linder is also notes how ordinary citizens are involved in the decision-making processes. For example, the author highlights how Swiss citizens not only participate in parliamentarian elections, but also vote and ratify parliamentary decisions of major importance. In this way, all feel ownership of the political institutions, processes, and outcomes. These Swiss form of direct democracy, in my view, would also resonate very well with traditional forms of African government. Importantly, Linder stresses that it is not the formal design of the institutions alone, but also the underlying political culture that makes consequences democracy work. Consequently, for African policymakers, the challenges is not only the constitution of more inclusive institutions, which reflect the needs and concerns of all citizens. The challenge is also to change attitudes for the citizens, respect different, and are aware of their rights and responsibilities in the democracy and act accordingly. Of course, constitutional democracy cannot simply be important by African soil, especially given the specificity of the conditions prevailing of the continent. This is not what the author suggests. However, the Swiss experience is fascinating and holds some valuable insights for African scholars and policymakers. Whereas the other forms Yugoslavia republics could and can be regarded without examination as nation states with a leading national elements, different social, demographic, and structural factors conditioning the protection of minorities prevail in Bosnia and Herzegovina. The second communist Yugoslavia, whose structure was determined from 1945 to 1991-92 by a federal constitution, could be framed a multinational state. Albeit with communist overtones. Similarly, Bosnia and Herzegovina was rightly described as a Yugoslavia in miniature. On account of its democratic structure, in addition to these three largest national groups, the Muslims, Serbs, and Croats, members of the other nationalities and land and national elements lived in the country and were entitled to equality under the constitutions. Be this as it may, the independence of the Republic of Bosnia-Herzegovina and its recognition is compatible with international law at the beginning of January 1992, after the breakup of Yugoslavia resulted in one worst-case scenario of ethnic conflicts. The 3-4-all was ended only by Dayton-Paris peace agreement. 4 years of implementation have revealed the fundamental dilemma inherent in the peace settlement, the issue of how far, after the association of ethnic cleansing during the war, the ensuing ethnic and national structures of segregative institutional mechanism are acceptable as a sign of political realism, or to what extent an attempt is made to restore a multi-ethnic structure of 1991, evidenced by the national census of the same year, for the sake of justice and under varying amounts of pressure from international communities. So that's all for today. Have a good day and bye!